second part of your replenishment strategy is forgiving your debtors. Forgiving your debtors. And this is a huge one. How many of you know that if you are harboring ill feelings towards someone else, that starts to dominate your thinking? Forgive your debtors. How many of you in this room, you can raise your hand, but you don't have to raise it high, would feel like in your life right now, there's some kind of unresolved issue with another person in your life? Just sneak it up. Okay, so there's quite a few hands that are going up. That can be really devastating to your soul, and it can drain you really quickly. The Bible says in Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15, I'll read the verse and then I'll pause and just give a quick comment about what each section of the verse means. Hebrews 12:15. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. So this verse explains to us a lot about the process of what happens when we allow a bitter root to go down deep into our souls. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God. In other words, God has freely given you grace, and as you're following Him, you freely dispense that to other people in your lives. The word grace means they don't deserve it, but you give it to them anyways. The flow comes to you, through you, into their lives. And the imagery that the writer is using there is of someone who is walking in a company of people and lags behind and might not make it to the destination. So the grace of God being our guide and intended to be given to us so that it flows through us to others, sometimes we fall short of the grace of God and we start to lag behind. God is willing to offer grace, but we are not willing to offer grace to other people. See to it that no bitter root. A bitter root is a root that is full of gall. Have you ever felt gall towards another person? You don't have to raise your hands for that one. It's a bitter root. That means it's below the surface and it's sucking up life and energy and strength that is meant to go in good directions. But instead, you have that root down and it's like a cancer that wants to be fed, and it's sucking and drawing away life. And when you allow that to happen, it causes trouble, harm. It impedes you, it hinders you, it brings destruction to your soul, it drains you. And it defiles many, the verse says. It brings an infectious problem into the community, and other people start to be affected by it. It's a big deal. You're probably justified if you've been offended or hurt by someone else, and you could tell me the story of what happened. I would probably agree with you. That was wrong, what happened to you. That's not the issue. The issue is that you need to forgive for your own sake so that you are free of the impact of other people's sins against you. Jesus came to save us from our own sins, but He also came to save us from the impact of other people's sins against us. Forgive for your own good. I came to a point that was probably the most difficult point in my adult life when I had an experience of betrayal and different things that happened. And I sat down with a group of people that were in part perpetrators that caused the hurt in my life, and in part they were bystanders who didn't step in and could have stopped bad things from happening to me. So you can get angry at a perpetrator, you can get angry at people who didn't step in and do something about it. You can get angry at yourself for having put yourself into that situation. You can get angry at God for that having been allowed in your life. But I knew that I needed to forgive for my own good. And so I rehearsed, before I went into this meeting, I rehearsed in my car on the way to this meeting. This is what I'm going to say. No matter what they say, this is what I'm going to say for my own good. I forgive you. I release you. I bless you. I pray for you. And I went over and over on the way to the meeting, out loud, in my car, I forgive you. I release you. I bless you. I pray for you. And as I've learned to do that, the gall and the bitterness has started to get drained away from my life. Jesus was asked a question, how many times should I forgive? And he said 70 times 7, which in my understanding means sometimes that emotion will come back up again. Wow, how could they have done that to me? Forgive them again. Something triggers you the next day, you're bothered again, you forgive them again. You release that bitterness and that anger. Forgive your debtors.